Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Erin Bees and I'm feeling a lot of things right now. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be telling my story. I'm excited to be vulnerable with you guys. But first, I feel like I almost need to reintroduce myself, because if you look at any of the videos that I've done here on my YouTube channel, they are very, very different. I left it up for a reason. I think that there is something really special, really, really special about honoring your journey. And so let me rewind that. My name is Erin Bees. I am a mom of two. I am a wife of 16 years. I'm a military veteran, and I spent 13 and a half years in multi-level marketing. And I do feel like in anything you spend your time and energy on, there is always going to be something positive that comes from it. You know, for example, because of my time in multi-level marketing, which do I suggest that you guys get into that? No, I 99 point something percent fail rate. Don't do it. There's a ton of other ways that you can make income. But had I not been in multi-level marketing, I would have never come across human design, which led me to understanding myself, which led me to making aligned decisions. And we're going to talk about all of that here today. So welcome. If you are new here, thank you for being here. If you have been watching my journey on social media, I'm glad that you are still here. Thank you for all of the comments. If you have any questions throughout this video, please feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm really looking forward to interacting with all of you guys. And without further ado, let's dive into it. And I feel like in order to understand where I'm at now, and maybe you can identify where you're at depending on, you know, the different parts of the story, I feel like it's important for us to kind of go back. So you're probably thinking 13 and a half years in multi-level marketing. Was that with one company? How many companies, you know, what kind of levels were you at, and all of these things. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time chatting with you about that. So the first company that I was a part of was called Slumber Parties. They're actually not in business anymore. They were bought out, if you will, by Pureromance. And before I even share any opinions or anything, please know that this video and all of the things that I'm sharing with you are all my opinion. It is all based on personal opinion. And I need you guys to know that ahead of time. Okay. So let's see, 2007, I joined Slumber Parties. I was a lab tech at the time. I have the degree still. I don't know why that's even, why does that even matter? Doesn't really matter. But anyways, and I wanted to make a little bit extra money on the side. My daughter was in daycare at the time while I was working in the lab. My husband had a machine shop at the time, and so he was working. And I wanted to just make $400 extra per month. And that was just to cover her daycare. And so a friend of mine in the lab invited me to go to a party. And I was never introduced to anything like this before. So I know growing up there was, you know, Tupperware, and there was different types of things, but I never really saw it. And I don't mean that, well, now it doesn't matter. I was going to say, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but I never saw it as a way to make income. I will tell you, I made income with multiple companies. The one challenge that I had with every single company was, how do I duplicate this within my team? I don't think it's duplicatable. I will explain why here in a little bit. Okay, so Slumber Parties. So at the time I was a new mom. I was trying to figure out kind of the roles and how many hats I had to put on, and just trying to figure out something for me. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. Maybe this is something that I can do on the side. It's kind of like me time, but I'm also making a little bit of extra income. And here's what I know about doing parties. It's a ton of work. I was in a small town in New Mexico, and I was driving to El Paso, Texas, which is about an hour and a half one way. I was getting home at 2 a.m. sometimes because the parties run long. Nothing in El Paso starts on time. And by the way, Hello to all my El Paso friends. Okay. So nothing starts on time. There's travel time. You're loading up. I carried roughly $13,000 worth of stock in and out of these parties. I had these 4 huge duffel bags. I was traveling to and from, and I was exhausted. I did this for probably 6 or 7 years. And I don't remember the year, but you guys can consult the Google as far as when Slumber Parties was purchased by Pureromance. So we were told a lot of things that didn't actually happen, and I didn't like the vibe, and I was, it wasn't for me, and it was a big transition for me. And so I decided that I was going to leave Pureromance after the buyout. It was really traumatic. I was actually at a leadership event, and all of a sudden, all of our phones started going off. And it was an email that said, "Welcome to Pureromance." Keep in mind, I'm at a Slumber Parties leadership event, and I get an email that says, "Welcome to Pureromance." And the owner of Slumber Parties is standing in front of me. And we're like, what is going on? And I'm looking around like, what is happening? And these are all people that I'd known for probably 6 or 7 years. What is happening? I don't understand what's going on. And I'm looking around. Right. And the owner of Slumber Parties walks out, and the owner, the CEO, if you will, of Pureromance walks in and says, "Hi, new CEO, welcome to Pureromance." And we were like, what is happening? So that was how that transitioned. And honestly, you guys, it was really, really traumatic. There were so many emotions that I was feeling at the time. It was absolutely crazy. So I stuck around for a couple months, and I think it was June of 2015 or so that I was like, this is not for me. So I resigned from Pureromance. And then at that point, I had my former leader from Slumber Parties and Pureromance, and she was actually starting her own company. Same kind of product, same kind of thing. And we started to kind of talk about that a little bit. And I said, well, I've resigned from Pureromance. And so I was like, oh, let's do this. Like, this sounds kind of cool. And I know how you kind of vibe. And, I found out there were some things that were happening kind of behind the scenes that I was not a fan of, that I didn't know at the time. So we were actually I, along with her, was sued by Pureromance. So I couldn't work for a year. So that is where Arbonne comes into my life for a little bit. I was kind of on a health and wellness kick. I had just had this baby, and I was like, okay, I just want to reclaim. I want to feel better. I want to have more energy. I want to focus. All of these cool things that I know us moms, especially new moms, are like, I just want to feel like myself. And so I think that was probably a theme when I first started, was finding out who I was, finding out how I worked, finding out how I could just make some extra income, and doing something different. And I'll explain kind of why that is significant here towards the end, when we start talking about human design, which is going to be really cool. So we were sued by Pureromance. That was fun. Had to do a deposition. I think I said that right. Anyways, that was traumatic. My computer was scanned, and I was just like, what is going on? Like, I haven't done any of these things. I wasn't taking any information from Pureromance and implementing it into this new thing. And it was kind of guilt by association, if you will, allegedly. We'll just allegedly. Okay. And so I actually had to wait a year, because Pureromance won the lawsuit. You can look it all up on Google. It's Lovewinx versus, and Winx with an X, versus Pureromance versus Lovewinx, Jamie Lamp, allegedly, in my opinion. Okay. But that's public record. You can look all of that up. And so I had to take a year off. And in that year was when we moved here to Vegas, which best thing ever. We love it here. We are so happy. It gave me time to focus on, moving, and the kids were little. I had another baby by that point, obviously. So now I have 2 kids, school, where do we live, what areas, all the research that goes along with moving. And it was a lot, you guys. So I was able to kind of take that year off. I feel like I'm skipping things. I think I'm skipping things. Let's rewind. Okay. After I left Pureromance. And I wasn't able to work. There was a short time period where I actually joined Arbonne, and I was very, very successful. And I don't remember exactly what I sold, but I sold a lot in a very short period of time. And I made $17. I made $17. Yeah, I was pissed. Okay. So after that, we moved to Vegas, and I was able to actually join Lovewinx, which is another romance company, very similar to Pureromance. And I was restarting my business all over again here in Vegas. I didn't know anybody when we moved here, so it literally was like starting a new business without really knowing anybody. It was probably one of the most challenging things that I've done as far as like business, because I had to hit the ground running and just start networking and meeting people. I didn't have like, people to depend on. Hey, can you host my first party? Can you, I had to just hit the ground running. And so that's what I did. I found myself at that point I was the heaviest that I had ever been. 2 kids, not taking care of myself, doing tons of parties, then the trauma and all of the healing and stuff that came along with, leaving Pureromance, getting sued, the stress of that and all of that kind of caught up to me. And I wanted to really start taking care of my health. I'm an athlete and I have been my entire life. I still play basketball twice a week to this day. And I found myself like, I couldn't recognize who I was. And so that is where I started to go, well, do I still want to do parties and grab like Taco Bell at 2 a.m. on the way home because I'm so exhausted? I didn't eat. I was too busy at the party to have anything, even though they were insisting. Do I really want to do this? Is this something that I really want to do? And so I actually ended up at that point joining Modere, which is a health and wellness company, also an MLM. These are all MLMs. Don't suggest it. Don't suggest it. Don't suggest it. Okay. So I, at that point, was like, wow, okay, so I'm switching from kind of doing parties to doing social media and to doing more live videos, and kind of that was really liberating for me because I had done parties for so many years and I was so exhausted when it comes to it. Whether you're taking stock or not, I had, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in stock. And I was doing this when I was pregnant. So I was unloading these bags pregnant. Like why? I don't get it. Okay. So I started to do social media. I started to go live on Facebook. I started to talk to more people in their inbox. And this is where it gets kind of tricky, because at that point I was doing technically 2 businesses. So I was kind of transitioning out of Lovewinx because I was sick to death of doing parties, and I was leaning more into like a social media type business. It just was making sense. I was home with my family. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I can still, help people, or what I thought was helping people. I'm sorry, but nobody in network marketing helps people. They help themselves. You heard it here first. Okay. And I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore. So at the end of, I want to say it was 2016. Some of these dates are going to be all over the place. It's how I roll. Okay. All right, good. And so 2016, I sent in my resignation to Lovewinx and I took Modere full time. And in the summer of 2017, my leader was terminated from the company. I was placed on suspension with, I think it was like 12 or 13 other people. And I did, for the first time, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? If they ended up terminating me, what am I going to do? Like, this is crazy. And it was all basically, you can also Google this, Modere lawsuits, check it out. Anyways, public record. So it was a really scary time. We ended up getting sued by Modere. I was listed as a Jane Doe, in the lawsuit, and it was really scary. And I am a person that when I have done something wrong, I'm going to admit it. So if I were to tell you, if there were something for me to tell you as far as why I was terminated, then I would completely own up to it. But I was terminated from Modere because of my association with my former leader, because I was involved in a leadership chat where there were things being said about other leaders within Modere, and that's why I was terminated. I'm just speaking from my personal experience. This is my opinion, although the court records and all of that stuff is public record. So I was part of that group that was fired because of being associated in this leadership chat that was turned over to Modere, where things were said, not by me, but things were said by some individuals within that leadership chat. And that was why all of us were terminated. All of us. They just terminated all of us. I will say, we were advised when we received an email from Modere, and we were supposed to, or they wanted us to kind of defend ourselves or kind of explain ourselves. We were actually advised legally to not respond to them. So I think that that's a big thing, because I've seen some videos where they're talking about that. And actually, I think it was CC Suarez's video, her deep dive on Jessie Lee, where she was talking about the email, which was a beautifully crafted email by Modere, where they were talking about, we were given the opportunity to respond. We were legally advised not to do that. Otherwise, I would have absolutely said something. So we were terminated. We were terminated December of 2017. I joined Pruvit in September of 2017. So I joined Pruvit, but we hadn't heard what Modere was going to do until the end of that year. At that point, we were flown into Pruvit to their headquarters. We went indoor skydiving. Now I can look back and I'm like, what I thought was kind of a kind gesture was, come on over, we'll take care of you. You know, I remember sitting down and we were talking about the comp plan, and we were told by the CEO, don't worry about it. Oh, just don't worry about it. Well, now I know that's because no comp plans in network marketing make any sense. Nobody can decipher them. Nobody. Okay. So 2017, so I'm in Pruvit. We're really successful. We have a ton of energy because it's a new company, and I am bound and determined to make this happen. I'm like, listen, they just fired me. I literally got fired for no reason, and I was pissed. And so I went all in, and I started working Pruvit, and I started selling ketones, and I got a lot of customers. I think by the time I left Pruvit, which was July of this year, I think I had almost 700 customers that have ordered from my website. That's not all SmartShip customers. That was just people that have ordered at any time from September of 2017 to July of 2021. I had a lot of customers, but not a lot of SmartShips. Anyways, I earned the car bonus in February of 2018. Around that time was actually when I learned about human design. So, you know, all of the situations and the people that I met and the lessons that I learned and all of this stuff, even though there was a lot of it that really was traumatic and I didn't understand at the time, and you guys will hear, if you've listened to my podcast, you've heard me talk about, I didn't realize I was hurting people by recruiting them into an MLM. This, again, is just my personal opinion. But it's the one thing that I had a hard time with was, how do I get the people that are trusting me to help? How do I help them make more money for their family? I started this and I wanted to make $400 for my family. And at the peak of Pruvit, I was making about $6,200 a month. Now, since I've educated myself, I've realized that I was in the top like 0.36% according to Pruvit's income disclosure statement. But I couldn't duplicate that within my team. I taught them so much stuff. And it wasn't until I really started to kind of step away from the big team that I was a part of in February of 2020, I started to kind of step away and really kind of look at things like, well, how do I want to do this? I really thought at this time that I could do network marketing different. I didn't understand that it's actually the formula that's broken. I didn't understand that over 99% of people that join a network marketing company or a multi-level marketing company, it's all the same. It's just them reinventing terms. I didn't understand that it's the formula that was broken, that no matter what I did or how I did it, people were going to fail. And in order for me to be successful, those people need to fail. And it wasn't until I started educating myself, and part of that came from, I got sick with COVID in January, February timeframe of 2020. So I had to step away. I started to question, like, why are we doing this? And how are we doing? This doesn't make any sense. I don't like how this feels. I would get on training calls and I would get stomach aches at the end of it because the energy was not right. This was around the time that I started to discover human design. And at the time, actually, let me back up. I think that was actually in 2018, 2019 that I first heard about human design. And when I did, I was so into like my ego, just taking over, like, we're successful and we're doing this and we're making money. La, 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 la. Our team was not. And that was the part that I needed, like, my ego checked. And so I wasn't ready to really look into human design. I wasn't ready to receive it. I wasn't ready to look at me. I wasn't ready to really understand the pieces that I needed to heal within myself. I wasn't ready to understand how I work energetically. I wasn't ready to really embrace my gifts and stand in my purpose. And so I earned the car in 2018, which I could probably do a whole nother video on that. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you would like that. But I still do drive my car, by the way. I just took off all of the Pruvit stuff. I took off all of that. And now my car is just branded for me. Same beautiful colors, same, all of that stuff. I just took off the MLM stuff, and that's how I roll. So yeah, that was actually very simple to do. There was a lot of fear behind that, though. And I think that that's something that's really important when you're looking at leaving an MLM. I think that there's a lot of fear that comes from the culture, if you will, of MLM. Well, you're not ever going to make, it's like an abusive relationship in a sense. It's like when I was getting out of the military, we don't need to discuss what year that was. But when I was getting out of the military and I actually made the next rank, and there's so much paperwork that you have to do when you get out of the military. And I was going to my first sergeant and was like, hey, I'm, out processing. Can you sign this? And he was like, wait, but you made the next rank. So why are you getting out? And there's almost like a culture of, you can't be successful on the outside without us. That's kind of what that was like. And I saw it again in MLM. It's the fear that they create to prevent people from thinking for themselves. But I will tell you, there are so many ways that you can make income. There are so many things that you can do, especially when you step into your purpose and your gifts and all of those beautiful things. The sky's the limit. There really is no limit on the income you can make. I said what I said. Okay. So let's see. So I earned my car. I started to kind of question what was going on. I found human design. I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready to just like check myself. And COVID happened last year, still happening. And love and light to anybody that is impacted by COVID in any way, shape, or form. Please know that I am sending you love and light and healing and all of those things, because it's horrible. It's horrible. Okay. So January of 2020, I ended up getting COVID. I was doing 75 hard at the time. I just got back from a company event that was here in Vegas. Zero sleep. I was sick for 6 weeks. It was horrendous. It was really, really, really bad. I was still doing 75 hard because you're not supposed to quit when you're in MLM. So I completed 75 hard. How, I don't know. And then I started to really question how I was building my business and what I wanted to spend my time and energy. I think that's one of the biggest lessons from having COVID was, well, what do you want to spend your time and your energy on? Because it doesn't need to be on all of the things. There was a pressure to be on all of the training. There was pressure to be on all the leadership calls. There was a pressure to be at every company event. There was a pressure to go to all of these things. And I don't know what I really gained from any of that. So I started to question. I started to ask myself, well, what do I want to really spend time on? And I wanted to do things differently. I was talking to my mom the other day and she said, Erin, you weren't running how you were working with your team. You weren't running it like a home-based business. You were running it like a corporation. Well, here's the big thing, because I know that there's going to be people that watch this or that comment. I know that there is a lot going on, especially with a lot of the MLM companies and the incredible anti-MLM community. And just to ask yourself this, if you're somebody, then you're like, I just don't know how I feel. I'm not really sure how I feel or who I quote unquote side with, or however you want to word that. Ask yourself if in a corporate structure, a corporate business structure, is there an element of recruiting that has to occur in order for you to make a substantial income? Just ask yourself that. Just ask yourself that, because what I will tell you after 13 and a half years and 6 companies is that in order for you to be very, very successful in MLM, you do have to recruit, and you do have to recruit and sell those big packages to people. That is the buy-in, and that is how you make money in any MLM structure. Do you make money from selling products? Yes, you make a little tiny bit of change, a little coin, a little something. And in fact, on a box of ketones, if you were a new customer and you bought ketones from me, one box of Nat, I made $16 off of you. If you were somebody that signed up for a Smart Ship, I made just over $10. I did the math. Okay. So there's that. You have to recruit. So ask yourself that if you're really trying to, maybe you're in an MLM right now, maybe you're in Pruvit. I don't know. Maybe you're in any of the companies that I've listed, except for Slumber Parties, because they're no longer, maybe you're starting to see the light too. Maybe you're starting to understand, okay, well, this doesn't feel right, or I'm not really sure about this or that. Just ask yourself that. Are you recruiting? Are you making a little bit of money through your retail sales? Well, if you're not as successful, quote unquote, in MLM, it's because you're not recruiting, which is why they push recruiting information so much. Think about all the training that they do. A lot of it is on recruiting. The formula is the problem. Only 1% of people in MLM are going to be successful, which is probably your leader, because they are the top of the pyramid. That's the case with me. I was at the top of the pyramid with my team. And when I realized that in order for me to continue to be successful, I had to step on the shoulders of other people. I had to hurt other people, whether my intentions were good or not. It is the formula that is the problem. And so I had had enough. I was sick to my stomach with even being associated with it. I started to dive into the anti-MLM community. And I also have a bunch of people that have helped educate me through the content that they're putting out. I have them listed in the description of this video. You can go and you can look. TikTok, podcasts, social media, all of the things. You guys just go and listen. Just listen. And not with the filter that your company or your team has taught you to have. Just go listen without judgment. That's what I did. And when I started to really understand that the way that I was feeling is how other people feel, when I started to really understand that I was hurting people by being involved in an MLM, I couldn't do it anymore. There was no way I could participate in something like this. So in July of 2021, depending on when you're watching this, it's last month at the time of this recording, I left MLM for good. I just left. And I think it's really, really important that you guys understand that you just have to get an exit plan in place. And I know that might sound crazy because people that are in challenging or bad or even abusive relationships, you have to have a plan in place. And so this is what I did to leave my MLM. Last year, so 2020, January, February timeframe, I started to remove myself from all of the training. I started to remove myself from what I felt like at the time, in my opinion, was noise. It was just noise. When you are surrounded by noise and chaos, it creates this environment that you can't think for yourself, which is what the MLM community wants. They don't want people thinking for themselves. They want you doing what they want you to do. They want you showing up on all the calls. They want that constant noise so that you don't have this space to think for yourself. Well, I created the space to think for myself. I created the space where I thought to myself, well, how do I want to do this? Can I do MLM different? I called it network marketing at the time. Same difference, same thing. It's just them trying to use a different term. And I actually thought at the time I could do it different. So I created our own groups. I did our own thing. We had some really cool success within our organization, but at the end of the day, when you look at it, they were not making more money. I started to really focus on helping them grow on social media. And so I started to do social media training for them. Their Instagrams, their Facebooks, all of these things started to grow. They started to see success, but it wasn't translating into sales. You can have a lot of people, you can have a lot of followers. That's cool. But if you're in a business and you just have a lot of followers, or you want a lot of followers just to say that you have a lot of followers, what good does that do in your business? I would much rather have the right people surrounding me, the right conversations, be the right person for that somebody that is coming to my page in order to look for something. Maybe you're looking for an exit plan here for your MLM. Maybe you're looking just for somebody to say, gosh, I went through that too. I felt that too. Maybe you're looking for just some energy today, or maybe you're looking for somebody that says, hey, I just got out of an MLM and you can too, and here's how I did it. I don't know. But I started to really focus on helping them with social media, and their social media pages started to grow. They started to really build, and that was really cool. But the sales weren't happening. Even though there was sales training and there was recruiting training and there was all of this stuff, none of that was happening. And it's because the formula was broken. So I felt like I just started to take some steps back. I took probably 3 or 4 months and just started to really think about, is this what I want to do? Is this how I want to do it? What am I going to do? I've done MLM for 13 and a half years. What else am I going to do? And one day I came across a human design video on TikTok, and I started to binge, and I bawled my face. Like, I'm glad I didn't have lashes at that time, because I bawled my face off. I realized that everything that I was doing, and again, this is my personal opinion, was completely out of alignment. It was completely out of alignment with who I am and how I am supposed to operate energetically. And that was a hard pill to swallow. So I stepped away. I started to really binge on human design content because it's what I was drawn to. I literally was meant to be a part of the human design community. I actually came across a video that Roberta Blevins did on TikTok. You can also check, all of their information is going to be linked in the description of this. And I caught myself with the conditioning of, oh, they're just haters. And in that moment, as I was like halfway out, that sentence was halfway out of my mouth, I went, but I've never listened to the other side of this. I've never stopped and listened. And in that moment, I stopped and I listened, and I, without judgment, just said, that does happen. Oh my gosh, she's right. That does happen. It absolutely happens. I think it was a video where she was talking about front loading stock, and that whole process, which I could do lots of videos on that too. And I just listened and I educated myself. And then I got the book Ponzonomics and I started to quietly read. And then I started to look, well, what other content creators are there? I've never really heard of the anti-MLM community. And I started to look and listen and watch all the YouTube videos, probably like what you're doing right now. And I started to go, this is all wrong. But what's cool is human design took the place of that. So through my healing and through my exit of MLM, I found what I'm really supposed to do. So human design is basically an energetic blueprint, and it is based off the day, time, and the place that you were born, how the planets were lined up. And I discovered that grind culture is the opposite of what I should be doing. So for those of you that are somewhat familiar with human design, I am a generator. So my energy happens in cycles. So instead of having a rigid schedule, it's really important that I have downtime. It's really important that I have that regenerating time. So whether that's at the gym, in the creative process, in my business, I have to have that time to breathe and regenerate so that I can really pump this energy out, which I know you guys have probably felt this entire video. This is like, I'm energetically in flow right now explaining this to you guys. So that is the energy that you want when you're creating, for sure. And I also learned that they have a piece in human design, which is my favorite, called the incarnation cross, which is how people figure out what their purpose is. And mine is the cross of defiance. The cross of defiance. I am actually supposed to step out of line and show people that there's another way to do things. What did she say? Yeah, crazy, right? So if I hadn't found that, I wouldn't know that that was my purpose. If I hadn't wanted to heal myself and trauma and all of this stuff that I've been through, especially with the trauma of MLMs and the changing of companies and the leaders that had their own agendas and people trying to keep me in a box, it wasn't until I found human design that I understood exactly what I'm supposed to be doing while I am here on earth. And now I have this really beautiful filter that helps me to make aligned decisions. Now I understand myself on a level that I'm like, no, that doesn't work for me. So I'm not going to do that. I have this filter that helps me. I trust myself. I have healed some of this stuff. And I don't think that there is ever a finish line when it comes to your healing journey. However, I know that this was a big piece, this aha moment, all of these things were a part of my journey, and it was meant to lead me right here to human design. And if you've never had your human design done, you can get your free chart, absolutely. But if you're already digging my energy, I do things a little bit different. So there's two options. One, you can schedule a live reading with me. We'll take an hour. I'll record it. I'll also include a complimentary 8 to 10 page report that talks about all the pieces of your human design report. Or you can do kind of a self-study thing. And the link also for that is in the description. The self-study is the 8 to 10 pages of all of the different pieces of your human design chart. But then I also have a 1-hour video that is custom made just for you, all about you, that you can use. I know the whole goal with when I was creating my human design business was for me to be able to use plain language for anybody to understand, but also to cater to the different learning styles. So if you are somebody that loves reading, I wanted to provide that report for you. If you are somebody that needs the video and needs that kind of that energetic exchange, I wanted to be able to do that too. So you get the best of both worlds, whether it's the self-study or you want to do a live reading with me. It is very simple. It's $49 or $99. It's really exciting. I could give you testimonial after testimonial, but you guys, the really important thing here is that I wouldn't have found my purpose. I wouldn't feel lit up. I wouldn't have this glow about me. I wouldn't understand what I am supposed to do while I'm here on earth had I not gone through these 13 and a half years with MLM. So while I don't suggest anybody starts in any MLM, because no, they're not all different. They're all the same. The formula is the same, you guys. Do your own thing. Create your own business. Those things that light you up, that is what you are supposed to be doing. And if you need help figuring that out, I would love to do your human design report, whether it's the self-study or the one-on-one live reading. I would love to do it. The testimonials that I just got one today. Then she was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense, and why I get so excited in my job, and it makes sense with my incarnation cross, and it is constant. It gets me so excited. And I wouldn't be here if I hadn't gone through the last 13 and a half years. So I am a very optimistic, positive person. I am somebody that I understand that there is a purpose for any pain. I understand that that doesn't mean that that's going to be easy, but I am so grateful. I am so grateful. One, that I was brave enough to say after 13 and a half years that I'm done. And even if that means taking a temporary pay cut in order for me to build something that feels authentic to me, that's worth it. And it has been worth it. And the income that I'm making from taking that big, scary step, what I thought was really, really scary, which now I look back and I'm like, well, that was the conditioning from MLMs. That was, you're not going to be successful without us. Watch me. Yeah. So anyways, check out the description, check out all of the links, watch all of the things, read the book called Ponzonomics. If you're a reader, I think that it is a fantastic book. I don't know what this is going to turn into. I don't know what this YouTube channel is going to turn into. I don't know exactly where this is going. I do know that I want to consistently put out videos for you guys. I just don't know. Like, I want to do human design. I want to do anti-MLM stuff because it is a part of my journey. So you guys let me know, like, what would you love to hear about? What would you love to interact with me? And go binge on some of my other videos. I left all of my keto stuff up because it is a part of my journey. I know that there's people that are keto that still watch me, and some of you might also be keto still, and there's some recipes and stuff in there that are cool. I've got everything separated into playlists. There's going to be lots more to come. I have so many ideas. It's overwhelming. But essentially, I just want you guys to know, if you are looking to get out of your MLM, if you are looking to come up with another way, hi, my name is Erin Bees. And after 13 and a half years, I stepped out of my MLM to create my own human design business. And if I can do it, so can you. Just know I'm your biggest fan. I appreciate you guys watching. If you have not already subscribed, please click that subscribe button. Please hit the little bell so that you get notifications when I put anything, any content out, any shorts or whatever we've got going on. I'm really excited. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all of the interaction, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day, everybody.